It's disgraceful, absolutely disgraceful. It's the most inept performance I've seen from a first grade team for a long, long time, if ever. We had our completions in the second half at 39%. So we got behind and panic set in and went from bad to worse. Last week we were talking about maybe being a top four. We're kidding ourselves with that sort of performance. We've got a lot of work to do. We know how dangerous they can be, but we just had no respect for the ball, is what we didn't have respect for. And we didn't have the defence to back it up with, so there's your answer. We're embarrassed by it. As a club, as staff and as players, we're completely embarrassed about what we should put out there today. It wasn't up to standard.
It was a tough performance. I thought that we stuck at our task, we knew what we wanted to go on. I know that Peter's going to be pretty upset with his players and I'm pushing for that top four spot. But I think a lot of it was down to the fact that we got in their faces and we stuck at the task we was after. Made them force some errors, and they're a side that likes to offload, and so if you just got to make sure you stay up on the line and pick up what they leave on the ground. The good run we had when we had everybody in that front line fit and everybody pushing for sport, that was an impressive run. But again, last week, second half, everybody fronted up and had a dig, and again, you've got to really look at these players and say, a lot of times this year, the score line doesn't look like it, but there's a lot of effort and determination, and we're getting better slowly at a time. And we're not as good as that score line. 40 points, that's a big difference, especially when we spent so long on our line, and Hull just couldn't break us down. We also spent some time on their line, but we're not that good. But then again, we're not a 60-70 point bad side. It's like we're trying to bring our average a little bit better, make it a little bit closer week in, week out. And all we talk about constantly is being in the fight. And I think up until a point, most sides, if we can stay in the fight, then it gives us a chance in that last 20 when you really need to be in the game. The work we've done this year, 12 points now, 6 wins, a couple of other wins with a couple of decent, like I say, we could have beat Hull FC.avi with a decent bench, we could have beat London with a decent bench. Like we looked and reflected about 2 one-point games and 2 death and dying games, and we're on 16, 18 points. I suppose there's a lot to take out of it. If you reflect on it and looking back and saying that if we finish bottom, it's nothing's been achieved this year, it won't be true. So we can't use that as a barometer. We never did, and this year and next year are not about that. And that they're about actually making us progressively better. And when, after in 2 weeks or 3 weeks' time, when the season is over, we'll go back to work about getting us better and moving forward again. It's not about where we finish this year, it's about a 3-year project, moving forward, making the club stable, creating something for the fans to be proud of in this area again. I think if you just look at the table and look back on some scores and post pieces, then you're not getting a true reflection of how hard we've worked this year as a group of players and as a staff. Paddy's been chomping at a bit. He's just been trying to get into a side with a couple of players that have been doing really well. And if Van wasn't hurt, then he wouldn't have played. But he's come in, he's took a chance, he's took a couple of great opportunities. He's worked really hard, so yeah, he's put himself back in the mix. I think if I'm really pleased, I'm pleased about Alex Gerrard today. He's a young kid, he's got very limited Super League experience. He's not been full time for 6 to 8 months. I mean, and he's come in and actually he's bounced off some very high quality players there today and made yards and done everything that he's worked really hard at Newcastle this weekend. He's come out to the side and done everything that's been asked of him. He's one of the most pleasing aspects of today's game when I look at it. It's not something flashy, it's not something fancy, it's the fact that the young kid's really stepped forward and made a big step in his career, I think, today. It's what Sean gives you is experience, he gives you talk, he puts people in the right place. So like when he plays fullback, one thing when you stand in the crowd, I can hear Sean, and it's one of those things that's been not great about us this year at times. We've been a little bit of a quiet side, it's both in the changing rooms and also on the field. But what Sean gives you, he gives you experience, he gives you an understanding of his role. And it's something that we spoke about the players constantly over the last 6 months. Doing their job, knowing their role and fulfilling it to the best of their ability. And everything else falls on the back of that. Like I say, it's nice when a winger gets tries, but his contribution over the last 10, 12 weeks has been huge. He's been fantastic in the backfield, getting us out of trouble. His work ethic and his energy is infectious in training. He demands high standards himself, and it's good that he gets a couple of tries, so we'd have to see him naked again. So it's nice that he gets on the scoreboard, and you can see how the players were really pleased for him and the fans as well. That he actually all the hard work he's done came through him. That's what we're starting to grow that within the group. The groups, and you can see it even when we're losing, it's a little bit closer, a little bit more understanding of each other, and they're working hard for each other, and a couple of line breaks and a couple of errors, put our hands up and worked hard for each other. And that stuff you can't coach. It's something you've got to grow. You've got to put an environment in place where they can actually develop that amongst themselves. And all we do as coaches is facilitate an environment for them to express themselves.